There we go.
Ledger Mermaid Emcee Derek Hanebury is a Porter writer of poetry, fiction, and creative nonfiction who taught writing here at North Island College for many years. His latest book, Both Sides Now, is a collaboration of short fiction with two of his past students. His already out solo collection of entitled Something Else, all together, is out.
Thank you, Karl, and welcome everybody. We're up and rolling. I think tonight we have to start with a really big round of applause for Char, who got us happening. As always, she defies the odds and brings everything together at the last minute. Thank you.
And takes a bow.
It's probably taking years off her life, but anyway, glad she does it. So, welcome everybody. We're zooming to you from beautiful downtown chilly Port Alberni on the unceded territory of the Sishat and Hipetcheseth First Nations. Glad to be here with you all tonight out there in Zoom land, and also live here at Char's, where it's nice and toasty despite how cold it is outside. So we've got a great slate of writers up for tonight, like about 13 open micers, and then Judith Hutchison is going to be our feature. So looks like it's going to be once more, a really exciting night of creative writing, reading, and a little bit of music from Mark. I see he's tuning his guitar in the background there, getting ready. That's awesome. So let's just say a couple of thank yous to, I already did Char, but I want to say thank you to Karl, our moderator, for getting everybody lined up, keeping us all on track, and hopefully his screen won't go into convulsions again here soon. It's been doing some strange things. My wife's computer went crazy today too, so there might be something in the air. I don't know. It's gremlins are out and about having their fun. So we're going to start with a couple of open mic readers first, and we're going to begin by going all the way to Germany, where Lesli Omohundros-Bronczkowski is waiting to join us there, and we're hungry to hear some more of your poetry, if that's what you're going to share with us, Lesli. Welcome and good evening, and the mic is all yours once you unmute.
Okay, can you hear me?
Absolutely, that's good.
Okay, this isn't a poem. I'm writing this sort of like collection of memories from my childhood, and I started writing it for my school, and I just sort of got involved in it. And this is memory number 24. There's no name to this yet. In my dream, there is a treasure buried in Ganny's house under the wooden floorboards at the back door leading out to the garage. Over the floorboards, there is a dark stairwell leading up to another level. The treasure is waiting for me to find. I must only lift up the floorboards. When we visit in the summer, I run to the back door of the house, but I'm standing in the kitchen. Next to the back door is the old pressing machine that my sister stuck her fingers in when she was little. There is no sign of a treasure. We do not visit Pop's mother often. Mama knows Ganny doesn't like her. She does not talk to Mama when we visit. Mama is a ghost for her that she can see right through. She tells her that the ambrosia that she got up early this morning to make is for her son. She wants him to have his favorite dessert. Mama knows that Pop's mother has always thought that she shouldn't have married her son. He should not have married a brown-skinned woman. She does not care that Mama hears that she talks about her like this. My sister and I are not allowed to play with the two girls who live next door, even though they are the same age as we are. We can only stand on the front porch and talk through the screen. Mama tells us this is the South, and she does not want us to learn about things that go on in the South. But we know that they do not go to school. Their school has been closed for 5 years now. We think this is strange. We want to know how they can go to college later when they do not go to school. Mama says the children here in the South do not grow up and go to college. They grow up to be lazy. When we are at Ganny's house, we must stay inside the fence. We must always stay in the yard where Mama can see us. This is a colored neighborhood, and Mama says it is not safe. The colored people down here are not like the people from home. Here we must be careful. Who knows what kinds of crazy things the people here in the South do, she says. Ganny looks white, but she will not live in a white neighborhood where people will look down on her and call her names. She wants to live in a neighborhood with colored people where she can look down on them and call them names.
Wow.
So,
Thank you. Wow. You probably can't hear the thunderous applause in Char's Landing right now, but you should. It was thunderous. Wow, beautiful. Thank you. That was powerful. And something simple about beginning with just numbering the memories, I think, is a lovely way to go. Just memory number 24, and a whole series of short snippets like that have that much power and impact. Wow, beautiful. Thank you for starting us off.
yeah, thank you.
All right, and hopefully you can hang in to hear some more throughout the dark night there in Germany.
Yeah, I hope so. That's my plan.
Awesome. Thank you. You're a trooper. I love it, Leslie, that you stay with us. Thank you. All right. Our next open mic reader is from Denman Island, and we've got Bill Engleson back with us again. And so glad to have you back with us, Bill. We missed your prose every week there, and I know I follow you on Facebook, and I see you keep winning these contests with your flash fiction and stuff. So what are you going to share with us tonight? Oh, you're muted there, Bill.
I'm going to share a piece that I wrote 3 years ago, and it is in the form of memory, and it helps to know that I'll be singing a few lines from a song from the movie River of No Return, which was a Robert Mitchum, Marilyn Monroe film. Monroe features in the piece, and it's called An Overwhelming Sense of Suffocation at 15. Which is the age I was when this horrible thing happened. Here we go. Once upon a time, I slept in my parents' bed, left alone, sleeping in their bed, orphaned by 2 weeks of Union 1 summer vacation. The first time I recall, a test of age, of maturity, a test of me. He'll manage, for Christ's sakes, he's 15. Old Hawkins will looking. Whip up the odd meal, make sure he's not starving to death. I'd never really been tested, trusted before, never. And then, days in, Monroe, dead. Dead, I am inconsolable, I do not understand. Death is not only a mystery, it is unknown to me. A song swims in my head, 78 repetitions, endless. There is a river called the River of No Return. Sometimes it's peaceful, and I weep, engulfed by a ferocious rush of sudden, bewildering loss. My loss, hers. The night crushes in, August 6th, Monday, midnight. There is no sleep to be had. Sometimes it's peaceful, and sometimes wild and free. The stifling summer heat, the lifeless air hanging like dead skin on California bones, a resolve to resist the overwhelming night. Crawling out the window, shimmying down the dying grapevine, the still sticky night air, heat lingering, clinging, slapping skin, hop, skip, tripping through the neighbor's yard, the gravel driveway, a stretch of asphalt, loping along the track south to town, sliding down the coal tailings, slipping on the dead, dark, damp pavilion lawn, the ancestral miners' soccer pitch, tiptoeing into the river. That slight stream, the wet, slippery stones, ankle deep, bent under drooping boughs, half moon light under the bridge, a sludge of mud flats, scrap iron scarring the low tide. The soft sea slop sucking me down into a slurping mire of mud. Yet still the song sounds sweet and sad. I can hear my lover call, come to me. My lover, no lover mine, mine. Do I think this? Can I hear her? Does she speak to me? This is how you grieve for me? How outrageous you are, how selfish. Grieve for yourself, young fool. Never for me. And there I am, floundering in the sweeping sewage, myself swirling in my own mournful mash. No return, no return, no return. It ricochets the rumble of the river. Mine, hers, mine. My river swims to the shallows. My hands swarm into the bog, fingers clutching the spillage, rocks, busted shells, artifacts of remorse, shards of metal, the foul quagmire of industrial rejects, a boneyard of rotting rubber. With the east at my back, the humdrum August sun rises over the island beyond. I am exposed, naked, a runt in long shadows. Dawn traffic hammers into the day. Each step in the muck draws me down deeper, knees, thighs. I am swallowed. Gasoline air revives me. The bridge jamboree fuel fires me alive. I retrace my descent. The slurry releases me back to the river's mouth. Akimbo scrambling along the stones, stumbling into pools, cleansing, breathing. My recoil outruns the revealing sun. No return, no return. And that's it.
Beautiful. Well, I love that that piece, and I love your writing, Bill. The ability you have to take us into that world and flesh it out is remarkable. That was amazing. I was right there. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're going to go on to our featured reader now, and Judith Hutchison. For those of you who don't know her, she's from Port Alberni here and actually taught in the school system here for many years, retired a few years back, has a book of poetry to her credit, and has written many compelling pieces of prose as well. And Judith is, in the old days when we were Words on Fire, Judith came out quite regularly and always entertained us. She's got this, well, you'll see, there's this humor that runs under almost everything that she does. She can't help herself, and we're glad for that. So please welcome Judith Hutchison, our feature for tonight.
Thank you, Derek. Hey. Okay. Is this actually working? Can anyone hear me?
Yeah, we got thumbs up.
So this is the book I'm reading from. It's about 10 years old, and I've been here over the years and read bits from it now and then. If anyone actually doesn't have their own copy yet, I brought some. They're over there. Just put any amount you like in the envelope. I don't have a set price. I didn't write it to get rich. So far, that's working. Anyway, oh, and I wanted to say this cover for Night Sky was taken by a Scottish photographer in Glencoe. It's Milky Way over Glencoe, which is very nice because I dedicated the book to my husband, who is Scottish. And I'm wearing a scarf tonight that he bought me in Glencoe. So, and the first poem I'm going to start with is the first one in the book. It's called Poem by Moonlight. And the way it happened was I couldn't sleep, and I got up. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I saw it was a full moon. So I went outside, and I had my paper and my pen, because I used to like put down whatever was churning in me, get it out of me on the paper so I could get to sleep. So I was sitting outside, and I said, I'm going to call this Poem by Moonlight. So, but the words that came were, good morning. And I was like, that doesn't make sense. Good morning when you have moonlight in the title. And I thought, of course it doesn't make sense. You're in your pajamas in the yard at 3 a.m. So I wrote a bunch of stuff down, and it gradually became this poem. I was as surprised as anyone might be to discover I'd actually told a story. And then I brought it to my writing group, and Winter says, oh, I would never have thought of writing a poem in dialogue. I was like, is that right? So anyway, this is Poem by Moonlight. Good morning, darling. Good morning, love. What's first? Let's check the sheep hen. Plant this rose, darling? Nay problem, sweetheart. You're so beautiful. You nay say bad yourself, hen. This show's driving me crazy. Here's the clicker, love. Still at that computer, darling? I'm almost done, lassie. Oh, I love this song. Dance with me. Slow, slow, quick, quick, slow. Cup of tea, darling? Lovely, hen. The full moon. Put your arms around me. Let's watch it together. Aye. And I think there's another story here. I'll read next something called Mears Island. This is probably the oldest poem in the book, and comes from years ago when I did a lot of work politically in Port Alberni to try and save Mears from being clear-cut. Years went by, and I realized I'd never actually been there. It was just a name. So Shirley and I paddled out there, and we stayed at Heel Boom Bay in the cabin there, which is the exact place where the standoff was between the loggers and the defenders. So after a few nights there, we left, and then 10 years went by, and another woman came. I think she might have come from Australia. And she was all broken up because she'd lost her dear friend in a mountaineering accident. And so she came to Mears to recover. And after, she went to the office in Tofino, and she made a donation to the fund to save Mears because she said she'd read this poem. I had put it on a tiny piece of paper and pinned it to the wall way up in the corner of the room. And so this is it. Mears Island. Say the names of the ones you love on Mears. Send a message with each animal you meet. Breathe in the fragrant breath of the trees. Breathe out with the deep breath of the trees. Cool your face in the clear stream water. You may not want to count each stone, but know they have their number. Now I can't read any of the dark ones because Derek said that there's going to be humor. So here's one. It's kind of humorous. Pretend I've got a beer in my hand. Okay. Happy hour. I'm sick of all this misery. I'm going to be happy, God damn it. Give me another one. Okay, now. Let me see. Oh, yeah. Look at all I have to be grateful for. That's a good one. What else? Oh, yeah. Master say, mind play trick. Past, future, unhappy. Present, impossible, unhappy. Those are wise words. I'm going to write about that sometime when I've got more time. I'll call it Now. Now, where was I? Oh, yeah. Let's say I'm at a party. That's a happy place. Well, wouldn't you know it? Here comes Mr. Past with a clinking drink in his hand. Remember me, he says, all friendly like. Snap. I pluck the rubber band bracelet I wear for such emergencies. No, memory fails me, I croak, and with a weak smile, I slink away. Circulate, that's the way to meditate. A little stroll to gain control. Well, look where I have come to roam. The buffet table, what a surprise. But come to think of it, I deserve a treat. More than one can cheat. No harm in a few or two. Snap. I'm back. And what do you know? I didn't miss a goddamn thing. Happy hour is always waiting for me. Tra-la-la. And I got to do red purse. Okay? Red purse. I wandered in on a whim when it appeared to me, the red purse, just the right size, silver buckles on the side. I'd been waiting for just that size. So red, so shiny. I picked it up. As I beheld its wonder, the words formed before mine eyes. On sale, $3.50, a sign from God. I bought it, of course. I've always been very spiritual. Now, by coincidence, if you can believe that, I was going out with friends that very same night. The band was fabulous. The food was fabulous. As we lined up at the bar to pay our tab, there I was, my hair recently styled, a chic short bob. I should mention I'm naturally blonde. I was wearing black jeans with a black t-shirt under a silvery Chinese brocade jacket with killer silver boots, all counterpoint to the red purse. Don't forget the silver buckles on the side. You would have thought heaven itself when it happened. I reached into my shiny new red purse for my money, and as my hand emerged, I saw that I was holding aloft my soft little lovely leather wallet that was also red. Time stood still in that instant of even more perfect bliss. It's too bad more people can't be me. And this one started with a sign that my Latin teacher used to have over the clock. Tempus fugit. Time flies. Stone is slower. Stone takes its time. Although you could say it's time that takes stone. Look at the Grand Canyon. One grain of sand, one eon at a time. Rivers of rock running down the mighty Colorado, while oceans rock themselves to sleep, dreaming of life in their deepest, heartless darkness. Ring-a-ling, the alarm clock, son, wake up, time to get a move on, make hay while the sun shines, and rivers run, and oceans sleep, and time flies. Running out of funny ones. How am I doing on time? 5 more. Okay. How about black? You open your box of crayons, carefully selecting the black one, deliberately covering the page until every speck of it is black, nice and thick. That's better. You don't speak because you can't speak, because your voice is the same color as black. You don't play music because music is not black, unless it is, and then you cry. Turn it off. That's better. You sit there. Sometimes you get up. You go to bed when it's dark. Soup. Your arrangement with food. Nothing required, nothing given. Perfect. You watch the news, but you can't be bothered to say, so what? Then one day, the sky is gray, and you don't have to do a thing about it. Gray is the new black. I guess something short. 2 short ones. Directions for a sunset. Sit quietly alone on a high little balcony in a foreign place. Ignore the bustling cafes, people shouting, traffic in the street, trumpets on the radio next door. Raise your glass high to the evening sky. Ask it if it would like this dance. Introduce your margarita. Match glow for glow. Sip some, stare some. Enjoy your new dress. Okay, that's it. It's all over now. Go back into the room. Flip on the light. That's all. And this one, okay, last one. Home. Fire in the sky, burning yellow, has a home where life burns green and cool. Running away water has a home where life drinks blue and green. Time drops down to darkness where life burrows brown. Hidden seeds grow up where we are. A forest is home.
Beautiful. Hang on there, Judith. Don't run away. Yeah.
I forgot I was supposed to say questions, comments.
Yeah, so it's thank you so much for sharing those poems, Judith. Beautiful, very moving. Yes. And you know, a good reminder to all of us who want to get complicated about our poetry, that sometimes the most beautiful poetry uses the simple language and takes us into the simple things and reminds us of the beauty in the simple things, and your poetry certainly does that. It was gorgeous. So just open it up if there are any questions here at Char's Land, or anybody out there in Zoom land have anything you want to ask Judith about. Just unmute if you're out in Zoom land and have something you'd like to ask. Otherwise, yeah. So I could ask. I think
I got a question. I keep trying to unmute my picture, which doesn't work. So if you were going to read, I wish, Derek, you shouldn't have said that about everything having to be funny. Have you written some unfunny?
Most of them are pretty dark, actually.
What do you think? Do you enjoy both then, or do you have a preference? Or
Me?
yes.
yes, no, not Derek.
I enjoy the light ones as a reprieve from the darker ones.
Yeah, I think when I was talking about your sense of humor, Judith, I was in your prose. There's always that undercurrent of humor and that quirky perspective that you bring in, and definitely in your poetry there's
Yeah.
much more seriousness and depth going on there.
But I know what you mean, because happy hour, it's supposed to be happy. She's not so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would have an observation that I guess I don't see all that much difference between humor and sort of the dark side. I mean, they're really, a lot of humor is really painful sometimes. I mean, it comes from pain. You just have to look at stand-up comics and what a miserable existence they have. So no, I don't mean that totally, but they come from, they extract sorrow, they make it work. And I don't see a lot of difference sometimes, quite often.
Yeah. And I am a huge fan of actually dark humor. I mean, dark humor is very, very funny. And to me, dark humor is what allows us to rise above the darkness, right? If we can see the humor in the darkest things, then what's there to worry about, right? So anyway, we have a question here from Jackie Swan here live at Char's. Jackie, go ahead.
Hi, I hope Judith will forgive me for making this comment. I've read her poems, and several of them are quite dark. They're about grieving, and what I really liked about them is the anger that we all feel when we're grieving the death of someone who's had the nerve to die on us.
Yeah.
How terrible that is. And
Yeah.
I thought Judith really, really showed that quite clearly in several of her poems in the night sky.
Mhm.
I thought they were very powerful,
Yeah.
but not humorous.
Yeah. All right. Well, and Judith, your Bobby, your husband was I mean, he was a humorous man. I remember him just opening his mouth. There was a meeting at Echo, and the first thing he says, well, I'm from Scotland, and the whole place has burst out laughing. Like, and so yeah, his humor, I'm sure, carried you a lot, and losing that would be very, very hard. And yeah, totally.
Oh, going once, going twice.
What made you start to write? What made you started writing? What made you start to write?
Pain.
Pain.
Yeah, I went to a support group, and the leader of the group told all of us in the circle that we had to do something creative with our pain. She said, doesn't matter, it could be writing, painting, dancing, gardening, does not matter, but you have to take your pain and get it out, and you have to create something with it. And so I couldn't draw, I couldn't paint, so I wrote.
Yeah. Beautiful. And we're glad you did. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go back to some open mic readers now, and out there in Zoom land. Just a reminder before we go there that if you're feeling generous out there in Zoom land, that Char's Landing always appreciates an e-transfer. You can do that to electricmermaidreads@gmail.com, and that's always much appreciated. So our next open mic reader is coming to us from Gibsons Landing, Kathleen Vance, on her own tonight to avoid David's sore throat. Kathleen, what are you going to share with us?
Well, I'm going to read part 2 of what I read last month, part 1, which was about a new kid, Lenny, who had come to the vegetarian boarding house to get Ann, Mars, Billy, and Sal to go ragamuffing. Now, ragamuffing was a kind of combination of Halloween and Guy Fawkes Day, where kids dressed in rags and went from house to house begging, except the difference was it was on Thanksgiving, but that's what it was. So, come on, Lenny, Billy called him. I know a house where we might get some food. It belongs to a rich old man we met when we first came to this city. The kids headed to the big house down the street. Hurry, Ann yelled when she noticed that the shadow that had been hovering over them at the restaurant window was now following them and getting closer. But they couldn't run very fast on account of their stuffed clothing and the rope and twine that were already coming loose. Then the shadow passed them, and now they could see it was a man. And he was trying to get into a window of a house, the very house that they were running toward. That's not a ragamuffin dressed as a burglar. That is a burglar, Mars shouted. We better warn the old man. The kids banged on the door. There's a man trying to break into your house. What's wrong with you kids? You're supposed to ask anything for Thanksgiving. Then he stopped and stared at them. I know some of you. You've already been stealing apples from my garden. I'm not giving you any more. Scram, get lost. There really was a man trying to get into your house through the window, Ann told him. The old man came out and looked, but by then the burglar had already run away. So he went back into the house and slammed the door. Just then the kids looked around and saw that everyone on the side street seemed to be heading for the main street. They decided to follow the crowd. At the main street, they saw an enormous parade of ragamuffins. The paraders were dressed as sailors, soldiers, tramps, and even burglars. Some were wearing gigantic, hideous masks. There were boys dressed like fine ladies. There were girls dressed like well-fed businessmen smoking cigars. There were poor people dressed like even poorer people, and not so poor people dressed like they were poor. There were also people dressed up to make fun of all the many peoples who lived in the city. Anne started laughing, but Mars yelled at her. "Don't laugh, Anne. My mother always told me that you have to always think about how you would feel if people were dressing up just to make fun of you." Anne stopped laughing and looked away. Lenny was busy thinking. The rich people should pay to watch the parade, should give the ragamuffins lots of money. That wouldn't work, Billy said. If the rich paid the poor kids, then there wouldn't be any poor kids for them to watch no more. Many people were watching the parade. Some were throwing confetti, candies, and pennies. Others were throwing eggs and socks filled with flour. Lenny started to reach down to pick up a penny from the ground when Sal suddenly screamed at him. "Don't touch that, Lenny. That's a red penny. Some bad person has put that in the fire so it's hot and will burn you when you pick it up." Lenny jumped back just in time. Suddenly, Anne felt an icy hand on her shoulder. She was being pulled away from the parade of ragamuffins, and so were Mars, Sal, and Billy, by the same icy hands and strong arms. "Come on back, you ragamuffins," shrieked Aunt Flossie right behind them. "I'm freezing cold out here. You need to get back to the boarding house and get cleaned up and out of those rags in time for Thanksgiving dinner. We're having turnips." The end.
Thank you, Kathleen. I'm sure the kids were thrilled at the thought of turnips. Yeah.
Well, the vegetarian boarding house.
Yes, absolutely. Great, great. Beautiful, as always, inspiring and funny and quirky and just you. No one else can write like you. It's so unique. I want to remind people about your anthology there, Don't Tell, Family Secrets, and just wondering how things are going with that. You've been doing some launches for it, have you?
Yeah, it was a nice launch. And guess what? Char came to it. That was wonderful. I was so happy.
Awesome. Oh.
Yes, that was great.
Oh, you guys are making the trip over next month.
Yes, we're going to be in, we're going to be in Alberni.
All right, live at Char's.
Live at Char's. Yeah, we're really looking forward.
All right. Well, we'll order up a little bit of rain so you feel at home when you get here. The Sunshine Coast. All right, we're gonna switch over to Dave now. David's coming to us from Gibson's Landing, where he's self-isolating with a sore throat. I hope your throat won't bother you to read tonight, David.
No, it won't. I got to say that the thing about the ragamuffins and all the fun and the games, but I'm thinking about that dark shadow, and I don't think it's a burglar. I don't know what it is, but it scares me. This is, where have I put it? I lost my writing now. And I need my glasses. It's called, I Remember the Smell. I remember the smell among a dozen others from my childhood on the farm, which was itself a universe of smells. The crops and the cattle pens, the chemicals that poisoned and burned, the manure that fed the fields, the heady fermentation of silage. But it's the human smells that stay with me, recalling the open-ended shed where Arthur's tractor slept at night. Back then, of course, everyone smelled. 60 years ago, if you got within a foot of most people, you'd breathe tobacco or hair oil or bad breath, and always their sweat in that week between bathing and laundry. Arthur Huggin wore the same dark suit jacket on top of his overalls every day for the 20 years I knew him, as a farm labourer and a ploughman. And Arthur sporadically mentioned flying saucers above the village at night, as casually as he reported the mating of sheep. But his family's gypsy heritage was still granted respect when he predicted crop yields. Arthur Hoggin did not read or write, but people in that farming district in that time were not yet anxious about the 3 R's. Locals would, however, stop their bikes in the lane to admire Arthur's perfect ploughing and watch the thick-ribbed furrows toppling into straight lines across the field's contours, releasing the soil's musk. The man smell came to me again years later at the Ericsson sawmill outside Mission. I was sitting on a stack of pallets beside China Peters while we ate our lunches, looking across the muddy Fraser towards Matsqui Island. Even in the open air, the ancient smell of Arthur Hoggins's jacket came back to me. China, not his real name, of course, China smelled old, of weariness and age, and those ordinary failings of imperfect bodies and middling health. Across the mill yard, a visiting school trip had been allowed to perch on a big dug fir log to eat their sandwiches, and their presence woke something in China. He deftly handcrafted a kite, using just a sheet of newspaper and twigs and pieces of string from his baggy pockets. The kite flew, fell apart, was remade, flew again, and the children cheered before being shepherded back to their bus. China went slack again, humming through his chocolate sandwich and staring at his boots. I had once cautiously asked China whether chocolate was a usual kind of thing that people sprinkled in a sandwich back home in Lithuania. He paused his humming long enough to tell his boots, yes, hagelslag, hagelslag. From our mill foreman, Jojo Pickering, I learned that the chocolate sandwich was an old-time Dutch thing among Dutch people, not Lithuanian at all, as China had confused it from his own fragmented childhood. At 10 years old, China, or Jack, had been taken off the refugee steamer in Montreal and handed to the nuns. He had been passed successively to an orphanage and later to a Dutch farm in the Fraser Valley. There on the farm, Jack had surrendered his surname, the first of 2 names to fall away, and there enjoyed the morning farmyard snack of chocolate grains sprinkled on buttered bread, washed down with tea from a steel can, both of which he earned with 12 hours work every day of the week. The farm family had prudently preserved what Jack called my government papers, and he had them still in an oilcloth tobacco pouch. When a rain shower came down from Stave Lake, China stood up and scratched, lifted his broad-bladed chip shovel to his shoulder, and walked out to clear the debris from under the mill's conveyor belts. His shovel went with him to lunch and to coffee, his shovel. At work, you don't use someone else's kit. China hummed quietly, as he did all day. Jojo Pickering had, from some kindly interest, assembled scraps of China's life over the years. Jojo reckoned the tunes he hummed or muttered were perhaps Lithuanian hymns, the last audible memory the child Jack had hung on to. And God knows, Jojo shook his head, in those days half of the Baltic was escaping Stalin, Catholics, Baptists, Lutherans, whatever, and some backcountry people had their own religions. As he showed you his real name on that bit of card he keeps, Jack is his real first name, Petruskas. His surname was Petruskas, but the Dutch people that took him in wouldn't have any of that, so now it's just Jack Peters. It was Jack's sporadic spells of motionless, staring silence, oblivious to everything and everyone around him, that had led some wit years ago to nickname him China. Look, Jack's gone to China again. When I worked at the mill, it was simply China, and Jack Peters didn't object. China, can you get those stacking sticks tidy against the wall? He didn't mind most things. It was a name, that's all. Back at the green chain, China scooped away at chips and sawdust and bark, while a flood of fresh-cut slices of timber shook and tumbled, and the dust rained down. Obadiah Facey was sorting on the green chain and bellowing hymns, gospel phrases he sang in the Emmanuel Chapel across the river in Ruskin. Say no to the Lord, Say no to the devil, Lordy, say no. Obadiah teased China. Say no to the devil, China. Come on, man, sing it. But China remained impassive in the face of all efforts and alarms and breakdowns. I never heard him complain, let alone shout. He just hummed and chanted through his gums. Because that reminds me, China had almost no teeth of his own, though now and then he would cycle into the mill yard, calling out his unchanging "Marnin" through a full set of false teeth. Government teeth don't have to pay, he whispered to me, and rapped the top set on his handlebar. Fiberglass, don't break, see? Jojo sometimes quietly reminded the union rep to make sure China was getting the jobs and the pay he should within the collective agreement. As in most uncompromising workplaces, where life was hard enough and arbitrary anyway, Jack Peters was accepted. He was okay. China's okay, nothing wrong with China, anyone would tell you. Nobody demanded explanations. In the same fatalistic tradition that accepted Arthur Hoggin on his tractor, and all the solitary but locally grounded men who did their lifetime's work and knew their job and saved their breath to cool their porridge, as we say, and did not wash much, nor needed to.
Beautiful. Thank you. There was loud applause here at Char's, David. Couldn't hear that. And an wow at the end there. Yeah, fabulous. What a portrait. You were so gifted at that, at bringing those characters to life and highlighting those eccentricities of those people. It's almost like as time goes on, people become more homogeneous, it seems, with the internet, kind of raising everybody now. And those characters seem to be things, relics of the past, but you're really keeping them alive. Grateful for that. Thank you. Thank you. All right, we're going to go to live here at Char's now for a reading from Port Alberni's own Dean Lamont. Where are you hiding there? Dean, there he is, and I'm hoping he's going to share another Ned story with us tonight. And Ned, of course, has nothing to do with Dean being spelled backwards. Oh my God, he's coming in costume tonight. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay, get ready out there in Zoom land. He's approaching the stage now. It's unique. It's live from Port Alberni. Here's Dean Lamont.
All right. Yep, it's working. So if any of you have ever been to an AA meeting, when people get up to the mic, they say, "Hi, my name is so-and-so." And everybody goes, "Hi, so-and-so." So, "Hi, my name is Ned. I live in a box."
Hi, Ned.
All right. The great French philosopher Rousseau wrote, "Man is born free, but is everywhere in chains." Back then, men did everything. Women just raised the kids, looked after the house, cooked, managed the gardens, and kept their sewing kits handy to stitch up the men when they started coming apart at the seams. So, women were born free too, but everywhere, physically or socially, were in boxes, chained. Although some women could see outside of their box, like Emily Dickinson, the great American poet, who wrote, "The mind is wider than the sky, for put them side by side, the one the other will contain with ease, and you beside." The historical record is, for both men and women, perhaps mainly the story of individuals and groups of people trying to put other people into boxes. All hail Caesar, the Roman emperor. No, it's the French Revolution and the rights of man, perhaps even women. But wait, no, it's Napoleon All hail the great emperor. Escapades and cast-offs from the British Isles formed the 13 colonies. Yes, it would be the home of the free and the land of the brave, unless you were Irish, or Catholic that is, and didn't fit into the English Protestant boxes. Or perhaps you're a heathen savage to be exterminated or squeezed into nice, neat little white Christian boxes. Yes, it was easy. Yes, it is easy for us to look back at the excesses and foibles of past cultures, to sit in judgment. But what boxes are we creating for ourselves? How will future generations look at us and laugh? Right here in Port Alberni, just up the street on Bird Avenue, look at the hideous apartment complexes we're creating for our lower income renters. According to one source, the walls are paper thin. One can hear people on both sides, perhaps up above, and even across the hallway. The noise travels. Coming soon, phase 2, a big flashy sign says, hellhole number 2, more boxes. Just down Argyle Street, above the train station, it's the Thunderbird Apartments, a cubist painter's worst nightmare. They put a log on each corner to soften the boxiness and painted it vomit colors. Eyesore on Argyle would be a more fitting name than Thunderbird Apartments. Now, most of us here in this room don't have to face apartment living. No, we've got our cozy little boxes surrounded by lawns and fences to keep out the infidel, keep them at bay. We've sweated and ground and sucked our way up to a certain level of comfort, shall we say. Some of us just made it by the skin of our teeth. Wealthy parents, perhaps, an inheritance, being good little hardworking normies. But an ever increasing percentage of our population are being funneled, squeezed into tiny boxes, paying exorbitant rents. Those who often, through no fault of their own, somehow missed the gravy train. One person is being evicted because the landlord is selling the house. Another, who wants only quiet and a modicum of comfort, is being subjected to neighborhood noise at all hours and frequent dirty, noisy renos. Move? Move where? Even the small, rough boxes are fetching $1,300 to $1,500 a month. Young people entering the rental market will likely have to find roommates just to pay the rent for the box, unless perhaps with a little help from mom and pop, they can afford a mortgage, $500,000 for the smaller towns, $1 million plus for the bigger cities. Young people used to mate for love. Now they mate to buy a house. But luckily, younger people can find solace in their phones, small boxes that go everywhere with them. Mom and dad are both working, but the smartphones and their omnipresent friends are always there. There with their music, their blogs, their fashion, sports, platforms, news. Why, it's God in a box. What more do you want from God? The electronic God will give you almost everything you want, from socks to real estate, entertainment to sex, romance. Only a real Luddite, a real boomer, would question necessity of being constantly plugged in. If any young person wants to become a social isolate, all they have to do is launder their phone and have their parents refuse to buy another one. Thank you. And have a little song for you called Virtual Love. It's to the tune of Soul Man, or perhaps She's a Lady by Engeldink Birdhumper. You know the name? Or I mean, Engelbird Dinkhumper. Well, I've got everything you need. I've been programmed and squeezed. I'm a box man. She's got everything I love, and she can take what I can shove. 'Cause I'm a box man. Box man. Somehow I miss the gravy boat, and it's driving me insane. But I'm a box man. Box man. I used to work whenever I please, but now my job moved overseas, and I'm a box man. I wonder where my money went. Amazon won't pay the rent, 'cause I'm a box man. I got your software on my hard drive, honey. Text me again. Skype me till my back ain't got a bone. I'm a box man. On your birthday, I'll send you my 3D printer love. Ooh, yeah. Join me on my platform when you get home. You can learn to love me. I'll teach you how to love me like you love your phone. Thank you.
That only goes to show never put Dean in a box, that's for sure. He just contradicted himself. Thank you for that entertainment there, Dean. Only in Port Alberni, right? All right, our next reader is also a local celebrity. Victoria Roscoe-Roumanis, I'll get that right yet, is going to share some writing with us tonight. Come on up, Victoria. I know Dean's going to be a hard act to follow, but
I'll try to remember.
there we go.
Okay. Oh, there's lots of light on here. Yeah, I'm good. Is this where it should be? Here, a bit lower. Hello. Can everybody hear? Okay, all right.
All good in Zoom land?
Yeah,
we got some nods. All right.
Okay. Well, what a wonderful evening, and it was lovely to hear Judith's writings, as always. That was lovely. And of course, Dean was great. Anyway, I'm a box man. So the first one I've written is a swimming memory. Many years ago, I lived and played close to the Trent and Mersey Canal in North England. In my early teens, I was invited to stay with my dearest friend, Elizabeth. It was a very warm day, and we decided we would go for a swim in the nearby canal. We knew we were not allowed to do this, but obedient as we were, we secretly took our swimsuits with us in our backpack. We had fun, cooled off and pulled up all kinds of junk from the bottom. I distinctly remember a rusty old frying pan. It's funny what you remember. The canals do not contain fresh water. They are fairly stagnant and do not have a fresh smell. In fact, they stink. This did not worry us as we grew up beside the canals. In fact, I like this smell as it takes me back to the good old days. As you can imagine, our swimsuits and bodies stank too after this adventure. We did not know what to do with our wet suits because we did not want Elizabeth's mother to know what we had been doing. We decided to hang them in the airing cupboard. Elizabeth's mother was extremely gentle and discerning. Next morning at breakfast, she quietly said, "By the way, girls, the next time you go swimming in the canal, please don't hang your wet swimsuits in the airing cupboard." The smell gave our secret away. This is one of my most treasured memories because it was the time spent with my closest friend, Elizabeth, who tragically died of cancer at the age of 30. Next one. And the next one is Glasses of Wonder. I love Alice in Wonderland, but I never thought I would end up down the rabbit hole. No mushrooms needed, only a new pair of glasses. The prescription was given by an ophthalmologist. My first choice of glasses from Valley Vision was an adventure. The flat ground in my garden started to go uphill when I looked down. While walking, it was the opposite sensation. I felt as if I was 10 feet tall and walking down a steep incline. I always wanted to be taller, but this was weird. Luckily, this vision did not occur when seated, so driving was fine, thank God. The strangest thing was when I took the glasses off. I felt even smaller than I am. Curiouser and curiouser. Returning to the store, I was told it takes time to adjust to new glasses, so give it a few weeks. I persevered in my strange new world for 4 weeks with no improvement. Once again, returning to the store, I was told to go back to the ophthalmologist for him to check the prescription. It was correct, he said, so I returned to the store, and they stated they could not fix the problem and my money was returned. My next stop was Iris in Quallicum, where I found a beautiful frame. The result of this store's work put me back down the rabbit hole. They said the only way to remedy the problem was to have their optometrist check my vision and to give a new prescription. With these new lenses, the world looks a little more normal, but I still feel as if I have grown about 6 inches. When walking, and when I take the glasses off, I certainly feel as if I've dropped to my knees. It would seem as if my future is to be lived along with Tweedledum and Tweedledee and the Mad Hatter. I suppose this is fitting for the girl who was born in Cheshire, she being an authentic Cheshire cat. Well, it's time to think. Let's have some tea. I almost left.
Thank you, Victoria. That was great. It brought back memories of when I got my first set of graduated lenses, and the optometrist warned me and said, just give your eyes, they'll adjust. And I walked out the door and I looked at my car and I said, I can't get into that dinky toy. It's impossible. Right? It's like, it's crazy.
I know that feeling.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for bringing us back to that and enjoyed that. All right. And now we've got another Port Alberni legend. Joe Lunchbucket is here live in the flesh in Char's Landing. And I have to say, Joe, as time goes on, your poetry is moving me more and more. Where did he go? Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, there you are, Bob. Come on up. Hey, Bob.
How's that? Yep, good.
Good.
I never met an animal that I didn't like and wish that my own species could speak as highly of each other. Man seems to be the only creature that's cursed with the greed gene and displays racism. That is, they're socialists, and we're greedy, grasping capitalists. If we all had fur, would everyone be cuddly like a teddy bear? Think of all the time and money wasted dressing and changing. People divorce, but animals without souls seem to be socialist atheists and revert loyalty. No dog ever cheated someone on a business deal. If we had tails to wag, could we mask deceit? If St. Peter demands character witnesses to qualify for paradise entrance, can we ask our furry friends to woof on our behalf? Animals are uninhibited and don't consider bodily excretion or mating as private acts. That is, they don't deny nature's urges until after marriage ceremony and just do what comes naturally. Cats and dogs will catch and devour frogs, birds, and rabbits. 30% of their brain is allotted to a sense of smell, and it must be pure hell for them to be fed only dog food when the aroma of household cooking teases their nostrils. Some dogs watch TV, and every time they see other animals on screen, they search for them behind the TV and outside. If watching TV is a sign of intelligence, then the human race are all geniuses. It hasn't yet been determined if dogs that disregard TV completely are smarter. For months, our TV-addicted dog searched behind TV and ran out dog door before she finally realized it was all Hollywood and ceased her searches. Is this like our progress from Dark Age belief to enlightened atheism? My first memory is of Bart, the furry guardian that herded my cousin and I when we were both 5 years old. He condoned our mauling and tarring him and whatever was at hand and kept us from wandering off from garden so that we wouldn't be trampled by horses and cows. He, along with all village dogs, howled at night in fear as Russians and Germans tried killing each other in World War II Poland. Animals and civilians were considered collateral damage by both sides. Bart passed on, and at the end of World War II, my mother and grandmother befriended a dog abandoned by Russian soldiers. At first, the dog refused to eat, but in a few days he adopted us and guarded our property from night marauders. This loyal animal was adopted by my cousin's family when we were all displaced from our home. Dogs wait at the door for their masters, but eventually adapt to new caretakers. Some employers surround themselves with yes men. Do we adopt pets for the same reason? They're loyal, never argue, and always give us undivided attention.
True that. Thank you, Bob. I have this enduring image in my mind now of you all covered in fur. You're very cuddly. Yes. Make a great teddy bear. Thank you. All right, we're moving on here, and we're going to go back to Denman Island now. And Peter Paul Van Camp is going to share some of his amazing talent with us again tonight, and we're looking forward to having him as a feature here at the Electric Mermaid very soon. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you very much, Derek, and good evening, friends. Yes, since the spotlight's going to be on me this time next month, I thought I'd read something which might help to set up that. So if you can keep this in mind for the next 4 weeks, I won't have to repeat myself. It's called, actually, I should tell you, it was inspired by an old farmhouse that I saw out of the window on a train that I was riding between Chatham and London, Ontario. So, Jennifer, you may be familiar with this particular farmstead. And it put me in mind of my own self. This is called Branch Line Reverie, or just how much longer can this old house be expected to stand? Old ramshackle farmhouse, seen from the train, weather vanes flown, cellar seeps when it rains. There's rust on the hinges, doors gripe on their pins, and a broke attic window where pigeons get in. Worn gingerbread facing needs a scrape and some paint. Porch sags, a board's missing, no idea where it went. Gardens neglected, hay's never mowed, and the last Guernsey cow wandered off down the road. Well, when the barn folks, that old homestead, it's me. This tells how moth-eaten I've gotten to be. Well, anyways, when the barn just fell over, that was kind of a sign that when it comes to the chores, I've been getting behind. Pretty nice place once, was way back when. Couple refurbishments, could be again. True, the roosters retired, lollygags in the sun. The place wasn't so sleepy, might get something done. But there's wood in the wood box, though, teeth in the saws, kindling, got plenty now. Chimney still draws, so that when the smoke rises and pools in the air, why, those train riders know someone's still living here. Mine now, shadows are longer, twilight's in the weeds, but a couple more good years is all the place needs. Get started? Sure, why not? But where to begin? The termite calls the tune when dry rot sets in. Can't do much about the house, too far gone to retouch. Might prop it up with flying buttress and such. Hold on now. Land sakes, there's a rake in the shed. Maybe spread some manure. Surely that ought to brisken things up around here. Could put up some preserves, some gooseberries, some plum. Used to make a good line, but there's more where that came from. And those apple trees, they might still yield a few pies. Pump's working yet, if the well ain't gone dry. Another couple years? Sure, sounds about right to me. If the roof hasn't caved in for then, well, we'll see. So, hope that can hold you for another month, and we'll take this up. I'm going to read some very new pieces, one which I just finished today, and some things that I don't usually get a chance to read in public. So I'm quite looking forward to this opportunity, and I thank you in advance.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, we can't wait to have you, and so I don't know if we can wait 4 weeks. It's going to be hard after that priming, but we'll try. We'll look forward to it very much.
You'll find a way.
That's my old stomping ground too, by the way. I grew up in London, Ontario, so I know that country between London and Chatham fairly well. Yeah, beautiful. And a nice tribute to the old farmhouse there for sure. All right, we're going to move on. Sorry?
Hello again. I was just hoping that perhaps you might be reading Round Bales of Hay, not to force it into your already prepared program, but it would be lovely to hear that again.
Not a chance.
Not a chance. Why not? I love it.
Tell you what, if you look up Al Simmons did a video of that very same piece, Round Bales of Hay. So look up Al Simmons on YouTube with that title, and you'll get a very good rendition and with musical backing, much more than I could have accomplished with it. I'll give you that recommendation.
I heard you read it at Expo 86, and you were outside with no background music, and I just loved it. So
Well, another time then.
Don't undersell your voice ever by itself. All right. So we're going to stay with that part of the world in London, Ontario, and Jennifer Wenn is our next reader. Our feature from last month. Jennifer, good to see you again this evening. And still enjoying dipping in and out of your book of poetry at my place. It's still out on the table. Loving it.
Good. Making progress.
Good.
Yeah, this is the book. It's out there. Links will be put up, I'm sure. And it's available through Amazon is obviously the easiest way to get it. I'm going to do a piece from it. And while you'll remember this incident probably from a few years ago, the title is called Notre Dame is Burning. Written in the wake, of course, of the great fire at Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris. Notre Dame is burning, so the news says. Here, a radiant blue dazzles from above, crisp, chill midday air cradling the promise of vernal renewal. An ocean away, acrid, sallow plumes churn skyward, first flickers of flaming roof animating the early evening. Notre Dame is burning. My adolescent avatar was there 37 years ago, passed through the overpowering Gothic facade from bustling streets and glaring sun to hallowed hush and glimmering devotional candles, gawped at the great rose windows iridescing the morning light, trooped with the other ogling tourists round the adamantine immensity. Notre Dame is burning. The breathless reports and looping videos flash around the world, a modest miracle of timing in the fallow between Palm Sunday and Maundy Thursday. Notre Dame is burning, and already the question, how, and already the speculation. Renovations gone disastrously awry, some electrical fault, or maybe a carelessly flung cigarette butt. Notre Dame is burning. Conceived in 1160, 200 years in gestation, a monumental gesture of hope and faith, awesome architectural heirloom, witness to a vast historical pageant, gazing impassively through the centuries on the wealthy few and the innumerable miserables, time's shifting tides accreting onto the spiritual symbol many other meanings. Notre Dame is burning overhead while first responders, priests, and specialists rush to remove and pack and desperately pass glorious art and priceless artifacts down a human chain and out to safety. Notre Dame is burning. Great jets of triumphant fire streaking heavenward split the gathering dark. Grotesque smoky billows metastasize from white to orange to yellow to green to glowering black under the horrified stares of a growing flock praying, singing, filming, despairing, hoping, stunned at the sight of their pride and joy, an ecclesiastical masterpiece become heart of a secular nation, being ripped out and incinerated. Notre Dame is burning. The 19th century spire becomes soaring torch, then plummeting into the raging inferno, engulfing the timber forested crown. Notre Dame is burning. survivor of endless religious conflicts, desecration, revolution, hundreds of years of neglect, the agonies of 2 world wars, its shocking denouement seemingly suddenly at hand. Notre Dame is burning, and where would Quasimodo be, I wondered, no doubt guarding the precious bells, haunting the hundreds of firefighters pouring on water from far below and making a stand in the twin towers, defying destruction's fiery grasp. Notre Dame is burning, but the conflagration is fading. The inestimable roof beams logged from trees long gone from France, now a pile of ash. Yet the life's work of uncounted medieval stonemasons still standing strong, their shades shoulder to shoulder with those wielding the hoses. Notre Dame is burning, gently, but searching lights reveal the wondrous stained glass still intact as well. The famous organ wounded, but a survivor too, those candles flickering on. Notre Dame was burning, but will, it is vowed, be gloriously renaissant, fortunes formerly withheld, suddenly free to reform and reimagine the individual, collective, and digital memory, meld modern with Middle Ages, defying time and history's edict that all things must pass. Notre Dame was burning, but now is calling for me to return, this time not to pay homage to a frozen monument, but to bask in a living metamorphosis, to feel it all happen again, 21st century craftsmen imbued with the spirits of their distant ancestors, mortality breaking bonds and striving upwards to touch immortality. Thank you.
Beautiful. Wow. Thank you, Jennifer. That was very moving. And
Thank you.
yeah, I saw it many years ago, and I can't imagine the craftsmanship that it required to build the original. And I was almost stunned that, wow, do people even exist who still know how to do that? And thank God they do, apparently. So
Yeah, there's been 1 or 2 good programs, including one not long ago on Nova on the restoration, and it's quite a thing. My goodness,
yeah.
They're doing, yeah.
All right, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. Take good care. All right, we're going to come back to live in Port Alberni here at Char's Landing, and Stephen Novik is going to join us. Yay, Stephen, well-known local poet, MC for Words on Fire for many years here. Always entertaining. Take it away, Stephen.
Oh, I'm going to get the professional treatment from Charlene here. I do believe the mic's fine. Excellent. Well, it's so nice to be back at Char's Landing. And for the Electric Mermaid. Let's hear it for the Electric Mermaid crowd. Now, as usual, I always kind of tend to start with a short poem, so here it is, entitled, "Oh Little Star of Instagram." Oh, little star of Instagram, how beautiful you are. The likes you bring makes my heart sing. You're my favorite thing by far. Okay. And tonight, I was invited to come tonight with a friend of mine named Lois Sturgeon, fellow Port Alberni author. She wanted to do something with cheese, and so she said, "I'm going to bring my ode to cheese." And I was thinking, like, ode to joy, and so I wrote, "Boil a pot of macaroni, I will grate the cheese just fine. Let it bake for about an hour, I am sure it'll taste divine. Should you want to add tomatoes, now's the time to toss them in. partaking of the juice you like. You know they take it off the vine. I'm okay with Coca-Cola. Don't you dare drink too much wine. Oops, oh, that's well, shit, I've done it. Shoved my foot inside my mouth. This is not what I intended. Now this dinner's head itself. Is it too late to order pizza? I can recommend a place. When it gets here, please enjoy. Don't throw that pie right in my face. This next poem I submitted to an anthology of humorous poems, and I do believe it's been accepted by my friend Ian Cognito for his Laugh Lines anthology. And so here is, you want regular gas? You want regular gas? No, I want above ordinary gas, extraordinary gas, and maybe just Wednesdays, I'll take irregular gas. I want supercalifragilisticexpialidocious gas. Give me some of that laughing gas. I need some of that takes away my blues gas. A little something in the veins juggler gas. Not any of that spillable stuff, bungler gas. Gas that lights a fire under my... Something that'll make me forget that I'm really paying for it at the pump gas. Cheap enough, why ride the bus gas? Cathedral Grove clearing faster than Paul Bunyan can do it. Wood smoking, plank chomping gas. Play it better than Mozart gas. Write it like Shakespeare gas. Paint it quicker than Pollock gas. All right, you smart ass. You want regular gas? Yes, please. And tonight, one more poem, maybe a soft, gentle poem entitled Nuzzle. Backstage, in the wings, that moment you rubbed my cheek against mine, I will never forget. I never want to forget that gift you gave me of realizing intimacy. I will always remember. I never want to forget. You nuzzled me. I hadn't been nuzzled before. So shocking, this sensation of skin on skin, of love and adoration. I will always remember. I never want to forget. Good night.
Thank you, Stephen. Entertaining as always. So good to have you back here. See you again next month. Good, good. All right. Okay, and we're going to take a little bit of a musical interlude now. And Mark Wonneck is with us from Quallicum Beach. So glad to have you coming back again, Mark, and bringing your guitar and sharing your songs.
Thank you. And you can hear me okay? Because I think we did a sound check and everything.
Volume's a little bit low there. Char's going to
volume's
turn
a bit
you up
low.
a bit.
Okay.
Try us again there.
How is that? Is that a bit better? Am I?
We'll give you a little bit more juice here. Just hang on.
It's on your side though.
Yeah. Can you turn it up at all over there? No.
I can do that in a way. I think I can do. How is that? It's going to be very loud, I think. Is that too much? I don't know. It's coming really loud in my head, but maybe I'll just.
Okay.
Let's try it some more. Actually, I'm going to get the room to.
That's good.
Is that maybe too much? Okay, we'll try that. I should say, other people have been singing songs tonight. I've been hearing songs tonight, so I'm not the only one. I wish I had brought a plate full of cookies for everybody. It's hard to manage that when you're on the Zoom. I just feel with this song I should have something like that. You have to, now for this, you have to imagine that you're at a wedding. You're at a wedding, and it's an outdoor wedding. in central Alberta. It's very hot. It's one of those weddings in the middle, kind of in the middle of nowhere. It's very hot. It's been a nice day though. The wedding's gone very well. It's been very nice, and the ceremony was lovely. But it's been a long day, and now it's dinner time, you know, and there's a big circus tent there, and you can go under the circus tent. It's very hot. Still, you're hungry. You can smell the barbecue there, and it smells so good, so good. Even everybody's tummies are rumbling, and even the happy couple, their tummies are rumbling too. But yeah, I mean, you're anticipating though, it's coming. And then somebody says, and now we're going to have a guy with a guitar. Say thanks, or give thanks, I guess. I'm grateful for the sunshine after a rain, and the rain when I'm blue, and the repeat of it again and again. I'm grateful for green valleys and adventure, both in and out of books, and friendship, and knowing something about knowing looks. I'm grateful for other people's parents, at least if they turned out okay, and mine too, though how I turned out is harder to say. I'm grateful for neighbors, you know, the ones who are always there, and family, who never lose their shine with wear. I could go on and on about water, whether stream or lake or ocean, how it can wash away tears, how it floats when frozen, how it can be warm just right for a bath or shower or tea, how it's life and death in this dry country. And then there's soap. Honestly, what would we do without it? It's not everything, I know, but it can certainly be the start of the end of a pandemic. And thoughts, if you think about them, they've got no volume or mass, but there they are, endless and offered mostly without being asked. I'm grateful to this body and the senses it contains, especially the feeling I get when I give a little bit more than I gain, or I jump into a cool lake on a hot afternoon, or see the butterflies wispy dance like it too knows the lilacs are in bloom. And then there's imagination, the eye of the needle that hope can pass through. It lets me believe anything I want to. I'm grateful to all those who would disagree with me, though sometimes it can be such a pain. But if you try to be nice about it, I'll try to do the same. I'm grateful for time, which is just enough to do what I will do, and just enough too for you too to do what you will do. I'm grateful for the kindness that forgiving seems to bring, and the kindness of forgetting, which can soften the keen edge of almost everything. But mostly I'm grateful for love and its loyal associate care, in all of its manifestations, inclinations, gender-bending situations, parent to child, friends and neighbors, aunts, uncles, puppies, kittens, enemies, rivals, Cupid's arrows, and pink carnations. I'm especially grateful for wild love, the kind that doesn't know the rules, loves with abandon, can't be refused. Which reminds me, I'm grateful to be here today to see the world unfold in this beautiful way, to see the light between these two shine out on this lovely crowd in this lovely way. And then there's the gift of food, which is really the gift of life. When seen in all directions, being to being, up, down, left, and right. The magic of seed, the wonder that is pollination, and a full belly that allows time for rumination. But what about eating together? Now that truly is a treat. And it reminds me of more things that I'm grateful for. Don't get me started on trees or whales or birds or salamanders or chipmunks or bees or I can see a lot of you are looking pretty hungry. So maybe let's just eat. Now, if I could, I thank you very much. I could do a second one if that's all right. I was encouraged to do so, and it's short. It's not too long.
While you're tuning up there, I'm just going to ask Judith, if she's still here, to just come up and tell Karl where Lesli in Germany can get your book, so he can put it in the private chat, if you wouldn't mind. Pop up there. All right. All right. We're good to go now.
All right, then.
Or you can tell everybody if you want.
You want to tell somebody? There we go.
Just give her your email address in the private chat. Yeah. All right. I think we're good to go there. Go ahead, Mark.
Okay. Thank you. I made this up shortly after Russia invaded Ukraine, and I was hoping that it would be redundant quickly. Alas. There you sit, you little bird, with song so sweet, how are you singing? Don't you know that wars broke out, so many lost and crying? Yesterday we shared the world, but hatred bloomed and found its purchase, trading peace for murder, learning banes and curses. Some things make no sense to me, warriors and tanks to name just two. They must come from somewhere, but I know not from you. Do you know anger? We sure do. And jealousy, greed, and grudges too. We make with them our future when we could sing with you. There you sit, you little bird, with song so sweet, how are you singing? Don't you know that wars broke out, so many lost and dying? Is our world like your world? It seems we're on a different planet. Though we share the sun and rain, yours is beauty, ours is tragic.
Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, that was gorgeous. That was a whole tray of cookies. Thank you so much, Mark. That was really, really beautiful and very timely. We're a year in with Ukraine now, and it's it's sad, very sad.
Yeah.
When will we learn, eh? When will we learn?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, thank you again for gracing us with that. That was beautiful. Both of those songs.
Thanks very much.
Yeah.
Derek, if I can interrupt Mark, the sound was just stunning. Thank you so much.
I'm so happy.
The guitar and the vocal, I hope everyone agrees it came through perfectly here.
It really did.
And after last month, I felt so bad. And you came on at 4:00 and you did sound check just like a musician right here in our house. So it was just a real treasure. I think we all enjoyed it. And I think, I hope our Zoom friends enjoyed it as well. Thank you so much, Mark.
Yeah, Char, I just have to say I'm so grateful that you asked me to do a check to make sure the sound is good. I really, really appreciate that. So thank you.
Yeah, she doesn't miss a detail, does she?
It was wonderful.
All right. Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We're going to have another local reader here at Char's now. Vicki Drybrough is going to share some writing with us. I'm not sure what she brought tonight, whether it's poetry or prose, but I'm sure whatever it is, it's going to be good, as it always is. Prose tonight. All right. And I'm still thinking about that piece you read last month about, you know, the girl out on the rock there lighting her fire. That was so sweet, so memorable. So, all right.
Okay. That seems pretty good, do you think? Yeah.
Looks good.
Is that good?
Yeah.
All right, it must be good. Everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Just make sure you reach toward the mic there. Just speak a
Reach
little.
over.
Hmm?
Did you say reach over? I didn't hear what you said. No, I'll probably drop it short if I do that. No, I think that'll probably work.
That's good. Yeah.
Okay, this is part of a much larger work, but it is called Revenge. We are riding in my husband's restored Hayes logging truck in a small town parade. People line the sidewalks, waving and clapping as we go by. Far above, the sun dodges the dark clouds that try to tackle it into submission. Riding higher than the rest of the traffic, we have a good view of the route ahead and people waving from the sidewalk. The street curves to the left and the parade stops. Alec leans out the driver's window. Hey, Harv! I peer around his head to see Harvey Peters, a close friend of Alec's from work, standing on the sidewalk. He smiles and holds a camera up to his eye. I grab my camera and aim it back at him. The two of us snap off a couple of photos at the same time. I lower my camera to wave at Harvey, and that's when I see him. My chest tightens as if it is trying to protect my heart. Everything slows down, and all I can hear is the sound of his voice. I'm getting married. She's 17 and she's already written 6 books. That was the deepest cut of all. She's younger than you. She's more talented than you. I love her, and we're going to have kids. Our own child's spirit is drifting somewhere, rejected and unloved. I keep smiling at Harvey into his eyes, but in my peripheral vision is a round, fair face, smiling, craving recognition. I almost smiled back. Oh, hi. Remember the good old days when I was 25 and you were 29? In the middle of my final practicum, you announce you've got an 18-year-old girlfriend who you like to screw under the AV table in the McLaurin Auditorium while it is full of students. I am behaving like a child. I should do the right thing, forgive and forget. The large hazel eyes are looking at me now, but I remember how they only wanted to look away. Here's a heartwarming memory. When we walk down the street, you pull your hand away and tell me, holding hands is for kids and old people. You move away as if you don't want anyone to know we're together. The next day, I see the two of you walking. You have your arm around her, and hers is around your waist. I began to see myself as unworthy. I had to psych myself up each morning before I went into the classroom with my difficult sponsor teacher and her unruly class. If I didn't do well, I would fail my practicum and I wouldn't get my certificate to practice. My emotions are running away with me. I need to back away and be more objective. You keep looking, waiting for me to acknowledge you. I start to feel ashamed of my churlish behavior. I cry when you've gone somewhere with her and there's no one to hear me. I hang on and keep going, even though I feel as if I'm locked in some kind of surreal hell. One of my students tells me I'm pretty. A male teacher says I'm a good-looking young lady. And secretly, deep inside, I'm grateful because I think maybe he isn't lying. Maybe the problem isn't me, after all. I gain confidence at work, but it vanishes every evening when I walk through the front door. One small smile and a wave. What harm would it do? Why bear a grudge? But you went out of your way to hurt me, and you enjoyed it so much. There was a movie we were dying to see. You tell me we'll go the first night you have off. Instead, you take her to see it on opening night and come home at 2 a.m, singing the theme song and smiling as if you've had the best time of your life. You try not to be seen with me when I pick you up at work. You take her to Central America with you. I do not forgive you for the pleasure you took each time you hurt me. I had never lived with someone who had tried so hard to hurt me every day. The physical pain was like a karate kick in my chest, but I did not give in, did not let you sink me. There is honking and shouting up ahead, and the parade begins to creep forward. It's now or never, forgive and forget. I wave to Harvey and sit back in my seat. The sun comes out and I catch a reflection of my smile in the side window.
Thank you, Vicky. Yes, revenge is sweet, and sometimes it can be subtle. I was waiting for the finger, but it didn't come. That was good. All right. Correct me if I'm wrong, Karl, but I think we've come to just about the end. I think there's some guy named Derek on the last slot who's going to get up there in front of the microphone and read you a little bit of prose. All right. Hello. Can everybody hear me out there on Zoom land? I hope. Karl, you got to tell me if they're thumbs up or not. I can't see them. So, we're good. All right. David's always good for letting us know right away. All right. So I'm going to dedicate this piece to my my late mother-in-law who passed away in January. I think I've read a couple of pieces about her, and she seems to be on my mind a lot, so I keep writing about her. Anyway, this one's called The Toast Ghost. You think we would have twigged that something was up when the smoke alarm started screeching at 1 a.m. My first thought was that my mother-in-law, whom we had nicknamed the Toast Ghost due to her habit of cooking toast at all hours of the night, had left her toast on too long. But as soon as I opened the bedroom door, I knew this wasn't just toast. An acrid smoke was piling up at the top of the stairs where the trusty smoke alarm was blaring like it was proud to be finally doing its job after years of patient silence. To be fair, the steroids the doctors had my mother-in-law on made her constantly hungry, and at that point she was still agile enough to navigate cooking for herself. In consideration of my wife and I, whose bedroom was directly above the kitchen, she refrained from making elaborate meals at night that would involve the inevitable clanging and banging of pots and pans. Instead, she indulged in a toaster full of squirrely bread, 4 slices, brown to perfection. She had been a pretty good cook in her day, but now, no matter what she cooked, she always relied on a heavy dose of condiments to make it appealing to her aging palate. Even her toast disappeared under a hefty slather of nut butter thick enough to make my arteries ache just looking at it. The night the alarm went off, my wife ran across the landing to wake our daughter up while I sprinted downstairs to see flames flaring out of a frying pan. They were serious flames, licking at the hood range on the cooktop, and enough to kick all my fire suppression training into action. I remembered enough to ignore my instinct to pour water onto the inferno. Instead, I grabbed a big pot that happened to be out on the counter, slammed it down on the pan of what looked like flaming oil, and snuffed the flames in a matter of seconds. Just then, the wall phone rang to add its harangue to the wail of the smoke alarm, and I ran across the kitchen to answer it. An anxious voice from the security company on the other end said, "Do I need to call the fire department?" before I could even say hello. No, it's okay, I shouted between puffs. Everything's under control here. I just need to stuff my heart back in my chest. Thanks for checking. As I hung up the phone, I looked at the bowl of dry popcorn waiting expectantly on the counter and took some deep breaths to calm the bursts of adrenaline still surging through my veins. My wife had already realized that the disaster had been averted and was busy fanning the smoke away from the alarm with a pillow, and the screeching started to sputter, then gave way to glorious silence. That's when I became aware of my mother-in-law standing at the top of the stairs in her cotton nightie with "Believe in Your Selfie" stenciled on the front of it. Her face was blanched white with fear. When our eyes met, she held my gaze for a moment before pronouncing in a loud voice, "I should be locked up." Then she turned and shuffled unsteadily back into her room. It was just a few weeks later when I strode into the kitchen intent on feeding the pets their raw meat dinners and couldn't find the patty of lamb I had left out on the counter earlier that day to thaw for the dog. I swear those animals cost us more to feed than it does to feed ourselves. Thanks to allergies, they can only eat raw food, and we buy the good stuff. Ground lamb, venison, elk, and pork mixed with crunched up bone and organ tenders. My wife insists it's cheaper than the vet bills we'd owe if they were back on kibble, but I'm not so sure. Anyway, I looked all over the kitchen thinking maybe someone had shifted the frozen meat over by the toaster or next to the Instapot, but I couldn't find it anywhere. Just then my mother-in-law steered her walker into the kitchen. "I don't suppose you've seen the dog's lamb anywhere, have you?" I asked. I remember when my kids were small. We used to go to Victoria now and then. No trip was complete without an hour at the petting zoo in Beacon Hill Park. My oldest boy loved the baby goats the most and spent most of his time crouched down so the baby goats could climb up on him and balance there, digging their tiny hooves into his back. His younger brother tired of the goats more quickly, so I would often leave my wife with my eldest, while his baby brother and I went to check out the poultry. I don't know if you've ever gotten close enough to a chicken to make serious eye contact, but there's a thing they all seem to do if you stare into their eyes too long. It's almost as if they're curious enough to hold your gaze for a few seconds, but then they get overcome with self-consciousness or something akin to that discomfort. And they will do a slightly prolonged blink using all three of their eyelids that gives them time to shift their gaze away to something else. They'll stare off somewhere else then as if they're seeing Jesus for the first time, or at least something so compelling that you would feel left out or stupid if you didn't look there too and forget all about looking at them. Well, my mother-in-law did that kind of a blink and swivel before saying, "No, I haven't seen it anywhere." Then she headed her walker into the dining room where she had shifted her gaze to and disappeared before I could say anything else. I didn't think much of that shift and shuffle until a few minutes later when I finally gave up scouring the kitchen counters and cupboards and turned my attention to the fridge, thinking maybe my wife had come across the lamb and put it into the fridge before it started growing more bacteria than the dog's sensitive gut could handle. I saw the familiar glass container with the red snap-on lid right away. It sat tucked onto the second shelf next to the Thai chili sauce and the sweet mango chutney, rather than on the upper right shelf where the pet foods normally reside, but something about it didn't look right. I pulled it down and unsnapped the lid. Inside the glass container sat a half-eaten patty of cooked lamb swimming in teriyaki barbecue sauce. That was the moment I knew where her journey was likely headed and why the blood had drained so thoroughly from her face at the top of the stairs that night when her abandoned pan of butter caught fire. I'll continue this next month, but that's the start of it so far. Anyway. Thank you. I will say straight up, we were fortunate enough that her dementia never got to the point where she couldn't recognize us, and we're so grateful for that, because at the end, even though she couldn't remember anything from 10 seconds ago, but if you sang a song, she was right there. And we just kind of hung out in those moments rather than going anywhere else. And I must say it was precious in the end. So anyway, I'll write more about it later. So thank you everybody for coming out tonight. For those of you out there in Zoom land who tuned in from far, far away in Germany, Mexico, Ontario, and to you here in good old Char's Landing that came and brought your precious spirit here. Thank you, everybody. And big thank you, of course, to Char at Char's Landing for doing all she does. Making this world a better place, making our lives better, that's for sure. And thank you to Karl for keeping us on track.
Yes,
Always
Karl.
handling things in the moment. There we go. And my pleasure. So next month, yes, Peter Paul Van Camp is going to be here. And Peter, we just can't wait to give you a 15, 20-minute slot there and really let us go deep into your work, and looking forward to hearing some of the new stuff that you've done too, and see where you're going with that. Your creative spark is deep and rich, and I'm sure it's going to be good. So
yeah, that's March 29th. And thank you, Derek.
29th of March. So put it on your calendars, the last Wednesday of the month. And until then, stay safe, be good. And if anybody wants to transfer, don't forget electricmermaidreads@gmail.com. Char would love it. Take care, all. Good night. Good night.
Night.
Night. Night, Kathy.
Good night. Good night, Leslie. Thanks for staying awake.
Riley.
Night, Leslie and Kathy.
Good night. Good night. I'm going back to bed now.
Oh.
See you in Ireland.
Oh, yeah, someday.
Was that German? You spoke German. Oh, Kathleen. And we'll see Kathleen here next month.
Oh, yes.
And Leslie, you'll be here, I hope.
I hope, yeah.
Reading again.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.